सो कंचना मैम के बारे में तो मैं क्या ही बोलूँ. आई फील शी इज़ अ डू, मतलब जैसे बोलते हैं ना राइट ब्रेन और लेफ्ट ब्रेन एक्टिवेट होता है. सो आई फील उनके दोनों ब्रेन एकदम 100% एकदम मैराथन वाले एक्टिवेटेड है. मतलब राइट ब्रेन जो होता है वो आर्टिस्टिक होता है, जो कि मेरा एक्टिवेटेड है. बट मेरा लेफ्ट ब्रेन बिल्कुल लॉजिकल ब्रेन शायद उतना नहीं एक्टिवेटेड है जितना कंचना मैम का है. दोनों, शी कैन ऑल्सो डू डेटा बट एंड एट द सेम टाइम शी कैन ऑल्सो डू आर्टिस्ट वाला स्टफ. एंड I am inspired by her because as I am also an artist, I can feel that artist wala thing by talking to her. Because उनकी जो आर्ट स्टफ है वो एशिया के बड़े बड़े आर्ट एग्जीबिशंस में लगते हैं. And I've seen her arts, I've already researched about her arts, and I really love the art that she do. So that is the thing that inspires me about her. So now I would like to invite Kanchana ma'am to share the calling question. अब ये लग रहा होगा ना कि कॉलिंग क्वेश्चन क्या होता है. सो कॉलिंग क्वेश्चन वो होता है जो हम लोग जब स्पीकर जो स्टोरी शेयरर होता है ना, उसकी जब स्टोरी सुन लेते हैं और उनकी स्टोरी सुनने के बाद हम लोग उनके लाइफ में जो उनने फेस किया उससे रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन निकालते हैं, ताकि जो दूसरे लोग हैं हम उनको वो क्वेश्चन दे पाए, ताकि वो उस क्वेश्चन से रिलेटेड सोच के बता पाए अपनी स्टोरी. So now I would like to invite Kanchana ma'am to share the calling question for today's story sharer evening.
Thank you, Archie. First of all, thank you for such a lovely introduction. You are very generous and your energy is infectious. You're like, I would learn the voice modulation from you. Maybe you can do some training for me. It's like, it was, and you look beautiful. I can see all the bling and it's so lovely and beautiful. So thank you so much. And calling question. Okay. So Lubaina and Rahul, they both helped me with the calling questions. So a lot of credit goes to those two guys for brainstorming over it. And I think the calling question is, and correct me, Lubaina and Rahul, if I fumble here and in expressing the calling question, it's more like how the choices that we make shape our identity. How do they influence our identity and who we become? Am I correct, guys?
Yeah. So now I
One
would
more
like...
rule, Archie. Sorry, nobody calls me ma'am, please. Please call me Kanchana. If Kanchana is big, call me KG. But no ma'am, please.
Okay. So now I would like to share my story regarding the calling question. So the difficult choice that I made that has shaped my identity is I made a difficult choice of joining enterprise. एक बार क्या हुआ था, मैं अपनी फ्रेंड क्या गई थी ऐसे नॉर्मली, एंड माय मदर तो ऑलवेज स्टार्टिंग टेलिंग गुड अबाउट मी कि शी वर्क्स फॉर 8 hours, शी इज सो हार्ड वर्क एंड blah blah blah. So my friend told my mama that she is really an enterprising person because she works like crazy and I can see her artwork. So she told mama कि she should join Let's Enterprise in Pune. दैट टाइम मुझे एंटरप्राइज के बारे में कुछ समझ नहीं आया था, बट फिर मैंने सोचा अगर कोई कुछ बोल रहा है और मेरे को घर पे खाली बैठा तो जाता नहीं, तो देखते हैं कुछ सीखेंगे, चले जाते हैं. फिर हम पुणे का विजिट किया एंटरप्राइज, एंड नाउ आई एम ग्लैड आई एम जॉइंड एंटरप्राइज बिकॉज एंटरप्राइज इज अ स्पेस that has completely changed me. जो पहले वाली आर्ची थी वो ऐसी नहीं थी जो आप अभी देख रहे हो, जो इतने फ्रीली बात कर रही है, इतने सारे लोगों के बीच में बात कर रही है, ऐसी नहीं थी. बहुत ज़्यादा शाय. मैं तो लोगों से कनेक्ट करना चाहती थी, सिर्फ अंदर से ही सोचती थी. देन आई यूज टू टेल माई पापा, पापा मेरे को इनसे कनेक्ट होना है, आप मुझे कनेक्ट करवा सकते हो क्या? सो आफ्टर ज्वाइनिंग एंटरप्राइज आई जस्ट कनेक्ट विथ एनी वन बाय माई सेल्फ. एंड इस बार दिवाली में जो पापा लोग की मीटिंग होती है ना हमारे ऑफिस की, उसमें पापा को हमेशा से चाहिए रहता है कि मैं स्पीच दूं, बट मैंने इस बार स्पीच तो नहीं दी, बट दिस टाइम आई जस्ट विश देम दिवाली का कि हैप्पी दिवाली, एंड आई शेयर्ड वन थिंग दैट आई लर्न फ्रॉम एंटरप्राइज दैट आई लव द मोस्ट. वो मैंने शेयर किया कि जो दूध में जो मलाई होती है ना, जो दूध में जो वैल्यू ऐड करती है मलाई, जो प्रॉफिट होता है उसको बनाना बहुत हार्ड होता है, इसलिए आपको बहुत हार्ड वर्क करना चाहिए। तो मैंने ये चीज़ सबके साथ शेयर की। सो माय फादर वाज सो प्राउड ऑफ मी दैट टाइम कि मैंने इतनी बड़ी बात एक छोटा सा चीज़ समझा के लोगों को बोल दिया। सो दिस इज what choice I made that has shaped my identity, and I am glad that I've joined enterprise. So now I would like to invite my friend Rahul to share his story.
Actually, we're going to invite our friend Aditya to share his story.
Oh, okay.
Rahul, do you want to share your story?
No, Adi, share na. Share na, Adi. Share na, Adi, share.
Rahul has actually fallen ill since yesterday. He was going to co-host today, so I will share my story. Um, Firstly, I just want to say it's wonderful to see two of our past Green Room guests on this call. One is Ruby, who happens to be my mother, and one is Chitra, who is joining us today. So wonderful to see you both here. Really, green room, the idea is to just create one space, a small space like this, where we can have some real conversations, some meaningful conversations, and just meet with each other more often and talk. It's not really a space to listen. And I'm really also very happy to see so many familiar faces: Vishal, Lokesh, of course all the enterprise partners, but Shubham, Shreyas, so many of you who are coming again and again. And really, this is the community. This is it's us, and it's our stories. So let's keep building this space. I just want to very quickly share my one little story of, I think, something that shaped me, and it's a little embarrassing, but I like to say the story once in a while. When me and my wife Arti, we were seeing each other for 7 years before we got married, and few months or few weeks शादी के पहले, that's a very terrible time. Few weeks before marriage, actually few months, when all the families have to plan, it's a crazy time. And we were having a fight over something very crazy. I don't even remember what we were having a fight on. And we were driving down this road, and I used a swear word with her, which I never do. I called her something which is not a very nice thing. I don't know if I called her, or I just used a word. I didn't call her actually. No, I didn't call her that, but I just used a bad word. Okay. And this girl looks at me and says, "Never say that word with me again," and slaps me. Chata. Okay. I have not been slapped. I've hardly been slapped. My mother is on this call. I think she must have slapped me once, maybe in my whole life. She slaps me. Okay. And I'm stunned. One part of me is really angry. One part of me is like, okay, what just happened? But I think at that moment was a choice I made. At that moment, I made a choice. After that slap, okay, and I made a choice to say, "I'm sorry. You're right. It's not. I'm not going to do it." And I think that has shaped me. That choice at that moment to acknowledge कि यार ठीक है, you're right. Although my ego was very badly hurt, and last time Chitra spoke about, uh, so yeah, I think the choice has made me, and today it's taught me to be aware, to just acknowledge कि यार मैं गलत हूँ. There's nothing wrong in being wrong, because I think that's the first step to learning something more. So yeah, that's my story, and thank you for asking such a wonderful question.
Thanks, Adish. Thanks for sharing. Rahul, do you also want to share?
Yeah, I'll share. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, so one situation, like one decision I made when I taken a like do the मतलब मैंने BSc करने का डिसीजन लिया था जियोलॉजी में. Like that's a bad decision I can say. Like bad decision नहीं बोल सकता, but वो डिसीजन की वजह से बहुत सारी कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट हुआ एंड लॉट्स ऑफ डिसीजन आई मेड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट बैड डिसीजन. लाइक मैंने ऐसे ही डिसीजन ले लिया था कि कुछ डिफरेंट करना है. तो दैट्स वाई आई फाउंड टू लाइक एक्सप्लोर करना है मेरे सेल्फ को. मुझे एक्सप्लोर करना है. और बाद में थर्ड ईयर में आया तो बाद में मेरे को रियलाइज हुआ कि यार जियोलॉजी मेरा नहीं है, मेरे को मैनेजमेंट में जाना है. सो that's why I found the enterprise. Like मुझे मैनेजमेंट के रिगार्डिंग और एक्सप्लोरेशन किया मैंने, तो एंटरप्राइज मिला. तो दैट वे आई टुक अ डिसीजन दैट कि मेरे को जियोलॉजी करना है. और वो डिसीजन नहीं लिया होता तो ये नहीं मिलता. लाइक मेरा जो इंटरेस्ट है मैनेजमेंट में या बिजनेस में, तो दैट फील कि वो मुझे नहीं मिलता. तो दैट डिसीजन आई रियली ग्रेटफुल दैट दैट डिसीजन आई टुक, दैट wrong decision I can say. Like, so yeah, so that's yeah, thanks Arji, thanks.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks for sharing. So, the green room is a room backstage in an auditorium or a theater where artists and performers let down their hair and tell us real and authentic stories. Where you can also share your story and inspire other people and also get inspired by someone else's story. You can also learn from someone's other's mistake ताकि फिर आप बाद में ना वो मिस्टेक रिपीट ना करो. तो आर यू गाइस रेडी? चले ब्रेकआउट रूम में. ओ, तो अब आप पूछेंगे ये ब्रेकआउट रूम क्या होता है. सो द ब्रेकआउट रूम इज अ सेफ स्पेस जहाँ पे आप और छोटे से स्पेस में चल जाएंगे जहाँ पे सिर्फ 2-4 लोग होंगे ताकि फिर आप और कंफर्टेबल हो पाए और अपनी स्टोरी बिना डरे बिना कुछ हेजिटेशन के आराम से शेयर कर पाए. सो क्या आप सब तैयार है मेरे साथ अपनी स्टोरी शेयर करने के लिए? तो फिर जल्दी जल्दी वीडियो ऑन करो. स्वरण, पलक, पलक, जमीला आंटी. ओके, सो चलिए जल्दी से अपने बालों में से हाथ रखो, प्यार से सिलाओ, रिलैक्स हो जाओ. चलो दोबारा हमें ब्रेकआउट रूम में ले चलो. वी आर रेडी.
Hey everyone, can you hear me? Hello sir, should I send you in a breakout room?
Hello.
Hi, should I send you
Hi.
into a breakout room?
Sure.
Awesome. So sir, it says that I've already sent you a request. So if you see a request on your screen, just click accept and it will take you into breakout room 1. Hi, Palak.
Hi.
Hi. You're joining the breakout room, kya? You're in the room
No,
with Kanchana, Chitra, and Jam. Very cool.
I know, but I can't tell the bell. I'm struggling with the kids here.
It's okay. It's okay. No worries.
Don't put me in the breakout room. Just at least join the meeting and put your video off, and then once the kids settle, then I'll put the video on.
Acha, no worries. We'll chill together.
Thanks. No, I can't chill with you right now.
You chill with them. I'll chill alone. Go.
I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, no, I wouldn't be here today, living and dying with the choices I've made. I was tempted by an early age. I found I liked drinking. Oh, and I never turned it down. There were loved ones, but I turned them all away. Now I'm living and dying with the choices I've made. I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, no, I wouldn't be here today, living and dying with the choices I made. Guess I'm paying for the things that I have done. If I could go back, oh Lord knows I'd run, but I'm still losing this game of life I play, living and dying with the choices I've made. I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, I wouldn't be here today, with the choices I've made.
Hey, how come y'all are back so quick? You're muted, you're muted.
We were just 4 person and सबने अपनी story जल्दी जल्दी share कर ली इसलिए.
Wait, but there's one person still in your breakout room, just alone.
Huh?
Yes. Jaswant Jaisankari.
Yeah.
Did y'all tell him y'all were leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Chal, I'll put y'all in different rooms, yeah? You want to meet some new people? No?
No, let's not break their
Flow.
वो लोग बातें में होंगे.
फिर वहां जाके भी फिर से शेयर करना पड़ेगा.
Dude, I love this sari, Archie. It's like I'm looking at some Swarovski crystals.
man, Archie's killing it.
उनको तो बड़ी एक्साइटमेंट और खुशी हो रही है.
होनी भी चाहिए. Imagine if you were at that Grahvasti right now. Would you get so much khushi from that? What is it called? That's what you called it in the morning. Stop laughing at me.
प्रवेश.
प्रवेश, हाँ.
Sorry.
You need one new name.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. लुबाना, आपको समझ तो आया ना अभी तक जो मैंने हिंदी में बोला?
Wow. Now this is the
I'm back.
हाँ समझ में आया आजी. Thank you.
ग्रहवस्ती.
Okay, 3 more minutes.
मैंने आज बहुत टाइम बाद ऐसे कोई फंक्शन, फैमिली फंक्शन में साड़ी पहनी है. मतलब बहुत टाइम बाद, क्या पहली बार. तो मेरे डैड बहुत एक्साइटेड है क्योंकि मेरे को सब लोग बहुत अच्छा बोलने वाले हैं.
That's awesome. We have someone new joining right now. So let's just say hello. Hi, Shalini.
Hi. We would love to see you.
Okay. Hi, Shalini. So just to give you the recap of what you missed, the calling question for today's green room is what's one choice you have made that has shaped your identity? So we'd love to hear something from you about that calling question. Everybody else is in breakout rooms. They should be back in a minute. Oh, okay then. Locked, so now nobody can come in.
See Bhaskar, what he is doing.
I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, no, I wouldn't be here today, living and dying with the choices I've made. I was tempted by an early age. I found I liked drinking. Oh, and I never turned it down. There were loved ones, but I turned them all away. Now I'm living and dying with the choices I've made. I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, no, I wouldn't be here today, living and dying with the choices I made.
Woohoo! मजा आया शेयर करके स्टोरी. सो अब कौन कौन एक्साइटेड है अपनी स्टोरी शेयर करने के लिए यहाँ पे सबके साथ एकदम फ्रीली? कोई है ऐसा? Would like to share?
Tanvi saying she'll share.
Okay.
I was having everybody, so I just gave a thumbs up. I'm like, yes.
Can you share your story, Tanvi?
Yeah, sure. I'll just go first. So I think when all four of us were talking, so the story came up like 3 years back. My father met with an accident. There was a bad patch of a lot of things. So then, as soon as I got to know about the accident, I left from Pune and I came home. And he was still in the ICU. For next 2-3 weeks, he was still in the ICU. And then as soon as he was out and we had got him home, he sat me down. He's like, Tanvi, tell me, what are you going to do here? If you really think that you are making anything productive here, staying with me is nothing right now. So you're just seeing me, you're just crying, you're feeling bad, you're just asking questions again and again. Why is this happening to us only and everything? You are asking such questions which we don't have answers to. So why don't you go back to college, have a little distraction in your life, have a little different environment, and and at that time I had just begun with my college. It was just 1 month of college. So I think that was my story. I had made that choice to, leave my father and go to college. After a whole 1 month of missing out, 2 months of missing out college, I'd again gone back to my college. So yeah, that was my story.
Thanks, Tanvi. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else would like to share? No one?
I think I'll share. Uh, Hi. So I was in the breakout room with Ruby Auntie, Apeksha, and Sudhir. And I wouldn't share my story, but like I really liked what Ruby Auntie said. She said that when I think about 15, 16 years ago, Auntie, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. About 15, 16 years ago, she had to, so basically as a mother she had to see her child be okay to like fall and learn on their like Adi, like learn from his own mistakes rather than protecting him from everything, despite knowing that you're gonna hit a bump and you're not gonna be okay. Despite knowing that, she still let him be, because that was important for his learning, and to know that something's gonna affect your kid, and to still protect and to not, to make a choice to not protect them is something that I find very difficult, and she did make that. So that is something really cool to know. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Thanks for sharing, Vishal. Kanchana was just talking to us about protection, the need for protecting your children versus letting them be a little bit exposed in the pre session. So it's funny that you bring that up. Would anyone else like to share any insights or stories that they shared in the breakout rooms?
I'd like to share. I was in a breakout room with Archie, Bhaskar, and Jay Sankari, and it was pretty cool. Um, for me, one choice that I made, or a difficult choice rather, that has shaped my identity is that back a few years back, when I was in third year of engineering, and everybody around me was giving GRE, giving something, going abroad, living the good life. So it is, or however it is, uh, and my uncle was also abroad, and everybody wanted me also to go abroad. Everybody, as in people not close, but a little far, but cousins and everybody, and I also started GRE classes just looking at everybody, and I also joined GRE classes just without even thinking. And then at one point, with some help and everything, and I just made this decision that uh, I'm not going to go abroad, or I'm not going to go to the US, or I'm going to stay here in Pune and do whatever it takes to do. And I feel that sort of that choice gave me so much power and so much energy and so much confidence that going forward, I knew that this was a choice that I made, and it was not something because of circumstances or anything like that. And I feel that has shaped a lot of what I am post that. So just wanted to say that it was quite difficult because a year after that, 2 years after that, every single, say friends, peer circle, everybody was going abroad and doing crazy things, and constantly people would come, "Are you're not going? Are you're not going?" But I still feel that was one of the best, not best, but it was something that really gave me power to maybe take charge of what I'm doing.
And I would, um, thanks Yusuf and everyone else. I would love to invite my friend Rohini if she would like to share, because I don't even want to try and repeat what she said, because it was like a really, she said it with so much grace. So I'm just going to ask her to, if she's okay, invite her to share.
Okay. So last year in September, I joined one of the university, and I was joined as a executive assistant for a vice chancellor. And I was super excited by joining that position. I was like, मुझे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा, बहुत कुछ होने वाला है, and all. And after 7-8 days, what happened? My mother is a dialysis patient, and on one of the Saturday we were in board meeting, and my mother called me at 8:30 night, and I actually ignored that call. Then she again called me. Then I again cut that call, and it happens like 3-4 times. And she generally never called me for anything, unless and until it is some emergency or something like that. So I asked that lady कि can I pick up this call because this is something मुझे लग रहा है कुछ emergency है. And she told me no, you can't pick that call. You can't take any call in a board meeting. And that was the moment I actually decided to leave that job. I was like, I don't want to work in such kind of environment. That was the time, like in fraction of seconds, I was like, what is important for me, my family or my career or this job, or what is important for me? So that was the time, I guess, the fastest decision I made on that day. And I was like, no, no matter what happened, I don't want to go for this job or this work. And I resigned next day. And I guess that was a good decision. I actually took a time. I decided कि मुझे करना क्या है life में. And after 3-4 months, I joined enterprise. So I guess that was a good decision I made. And I feel doesn't matter where you are working, if you are not giving importance to your family, I guess that is not a right thing. So yes, that was a good decision.
Thanks for sharing, Rohini.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I would like to invite Kanchana ma'am to share her super cool story with us. Over to you, Kanchana ma'am.
Thank you, Archie, and 5-point cut for calling me ma'am again. Okay. So every time someone calls me ma'am, 5-point cut. Okay. And I'm keeping account of all 5 points. Okay. You'll get a separate message from me. No, just joking. First of all, thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining. And I feel really, really great and excited talking to you. And I was listening to some of the stories about the choices we made. And the one thing which is common is that how when we make choices, we feel empowered. We feel the strength that comes with the choice in different aspects. So can I just check how much time do I have so that I don't overstep on my time limit, Archie?
You have time till 8 o'clock, and then we have
Okay,
our
so I have 18 minutes precisely.
I think we can give her a little more time, not till 8:15.
Yeah.
And then we can have a little question and answers.
Okay. Thank you for your generosity, Adi. Okay, so when I was reflecting with my coffee today. I drink 1 cup of coffee every day, black coffee, and that's my very sacrosanct time. I don't like anyone to drink coffee with me. I like to drink my coffee alone. Absolutely, I feel that's my me time, and any transgression is not accepted. So I was having my coffee, and I was thinking, what is my story? It's very interesting that sometimes a question when Lubaina and Rahul asked me, what's a story, it makes you reflect that what story my life is about. And story is an interesting word. What is a story? A story is a kind of a collection of incidents and decisions in one's life that shape the person and that shape the trajectory of life. So here is my little story. This is the story of a girl who was born in a village in northern Bihar, very close to India-Nepal border, to a farmer father and to a homemaker mother. Um, she's the second child among their 6 children. So yes, she has 5 siblings. She grew up in a very noisy household with lots of siblings and in a joint family, with my grandfather being the patriarch of the family and no one dare not go against his wishes, kind of initial environment. She was born at a time and a place where she was expected to be literate enough to get married by 18, 19, because that's the kind of trajectory that was common in the place and time she was born. But in every story there are characters. If you see a novel, it's a story, but there are characters, and there are some characters which shape your story much more than other characters. Okay, so in my story, that character was my mother. My mother's, I think my story is what it is today. It's primarily because of my mother. She just said one thing in that environment. She said, my dream is to make my daughters educated and independent. And she moved to a city called Patna. Some of you might be knowing it. I think, it's the capital of Bihar. She moved in the city called Patna alone in early 80s, around 83, 84, just with one dream to educate her 5 daughters and to make them independent. And sometimes I think the power of her dream was so strong that we I was the first female graduate in my family. Um, my both aunts were married by the time they were 16, 17. It was a very different household that I grew up. My mother used to cover her head till I was in high school, in a very traditional family. Um, I was a bit of a rebel. I used to question things more than others. When I finished my 10th grade, I was a topper of the school. So I was always a bit studious kind, in the sense that study was my refuge. I also felt, and I'm confessing it here, I grew up a bit of socially awkward child. I was not this confident speaking person till I was in college. I was always socially awkward. I found it difficult to kind of relate and communicate with a lot of people. So my refuge used to be library and books. So that made me a bookworm. And that one thing I feel, if my children can develop love for book, but it's a different generation, I don't fight over it. I used to just come from school, take my book, go to the staircase area where nobody disturbs me, and read lots of books. That also developed my love for literature, which continues. So I'm a big literature person, not just English. I read a lot of Hindi literature. So actually, I'm very proud of my Hindi. My Hindi is very, very good. So when I finished my 10th, my grandfather wanted me to get married. And I had scored the highest in school. And he said, that's fine. The highest in school is fine, but it's time to kind of not to go ahead. And I was like, no, I would like to go ahead. Then came a second choice where my father wanted me to be a doctor, and I had absolutely no interest in medicine, absolutely no. I wanted to be an engineer. There was a big tussle, and I neither became a doctor nor I became engineer. I went into a different direction, and um, I just read somewhere that you do an MBA and you get a job very quickly. So that was the time of, like, India was opening up, the economy was opening up. MBA was the gateway to just kind of, and I said, okay, that's my lucky key. I'm going to try for an MBA and get a job and get away from all this marriage thing that I keep hearing all the time, that, you need to get married, you need to get married kind of stuff. Yeah, so I did my MBA, landed up Mumbai. My first job was in Mumbai. Then I made another interesting choice. So by the time I finished my MBA, I was already engaged under an arranged marriage system to somebody, and which I decided to break. And to the extent that kind of it shocked, and there was no fault of the guy. It's just that a voice inside me said that I'm not right for him. And I said, guys, I don't. And clearly, many of my relatives didn't talk to me for months, and some of them years, actually. Because it was a big thing for my kind of a traditional family, for a girl to break an arranged marriage alliance. And the only condition, I was sent to work in a city like Mumbai, saying that, okay, you first have to get engaged and then you're going to work. You have to get married before you step into the world of, staying alone in a city, in a kind of, in a very regressive way, that you have to be marked for someone before you start a journey. But again, destiny had some other plans. And I broke that, and kind of felt that a lot of people told me, like, in a very Indian way, बड़े शहर की हवा लग गई है, उसको भेजना नहीं चाहिए था. मतलब पटना से लड़की को मुंबई भेज दिया, देखो अब तो यही होगा. Very typical what you hear actually in serials. I did hear all that stuff कि कितना बार कहते थे लड़की को मत पढ़ाओ, मत वहां पे भेजो, but देखो अब क्या हुआ. Of course, that was interesting. And after that, the funny thing is that after a few months, I met my husband, now husband, and then boyfriend, fell in love, and decided to go for the first intercaste love marriage of the family. And then a lot of people thought that I was actually having an affair, and that's why I broke my marriage. So it was a very, it was really a bit of dramatic soap opera kind of story that happened, and my marriage was happened in a very dramatic situations. But anyway, I was very clear and very decided to, not to listen to anyone and just go with my heart and go with this man, even at the cost of many relatives not coming to my wedding and all kinds of drama that happens and that happened. But seems like ages. That was 21 years back. Yeah. So those were a couple of choices that shaped me, like the choice to do an MBA, come to Mumbai, a city like Mumbai, and start my career. I was staying in Vashi at that point in time. Vashi was like almost like a forest. There was no, kind of, not many people used to live in Vashi at that point in time. But I felt very liberated in a city, when you are in a place where nobody knows you. It's a very liberated feeling coming from a small town to a very big anonymous city where suddenly nobody knows you. And financial independence gives you a very big high. So that was great. Yeah, and then life continues from there. I kept on going from one organization to another. I was doing well in my career. And something bit me after 10 years of career. Call it midlife crisis, I think. I don't know. I just found that one day I was thinking, what is this whole thing I'm doing? Yeah, I'll go from one position to another and all that stuff. I just want to explore something different. And I guess that has been the biggest turning point of my life when I landed up in an art school at one fine day. For somebody who was very type A corporate personality, completely like obsessed with the results and targets and doing meetings from morning to night and calls. It was a complete pivot of joining an art school, and to the extent that my colleagues betted that she'll be back in 3 months, and they all betted with money, real money. And that money actually paid for 1 month of my college fee. So I told them that now you guys have lost, so you better give that money to me. But there was something liberating in art school, very liberating from the structure of the corporate world. And I felt quite absorbed in that. By then I was like, I had worked for 11 years full time. And art has been a beautiful journey. It is very unstructured compared to corporate, but I found it helped me to connect with myself, and it helped me to connect with my love for reading, my love for exploring different subjects, and also it helped me to overcome the fear of not breaking out from a structure, and kind of realizing who I am on my own, without the position of an organization, without a title, without being part of a framework. It took me a while. Believe me, there were 2 years of very insecure period when I went through, because I had given up a full-time career. I had financial insecurities. I had my mother who was very disappointed in me because all her dream was to make me independent, and then she hears that my daughter is leaving that career for art. For her it was very alien. What is art? Like, are you going to paint Radha and Krishna? That was her question, was that, are you going to make those gods paintings? It is very difficult for me to explain what contemporary art is to my parents who have lived in a village and in Patna. For them art is like, not a secure career. One should not go like that. And she had all kind of blackmailing to me, saying, oh, what if your husband leaves you tomorrow? Art is not going to help you. And I'm like, ma, just stop doing this doomsday scenario. I've worked enough and I can manage myself. So that was a very interesting period of following my dream, where I kind of didn't think of what the future will bring for me, but I was just very consumed with the idea of following my dream. And I went on being on the path of being an artist, which I continue being even today. And I think one thing I know for sure, that I will make art till I die. That's the beauty of art. So I'll always be connected. Having said that, I did not leave my corporate part also. After a couple of years of break from corporate world, I went back and I kind of manage half, 2.5 days or 3 days a week. I work as a consultant, and then rest of the time or all the time I work as an artist. So I also felt that one does not need to follow any one world in particular. So when I was talking to Lubaina and Rahul, I said there are people who follow vertical, like go in one path, and there are people who follow horizontal. I followed a horizontal path where I go into many, and I felt that I don't have to define myself or create my identity by one thing. My identity is Kanchana, and Kanchana can be anything. Kanchana can be an amalgamation of a mother, an artist, a wife, an individual, a hiker, a reader, um, anything, many things. And I'm a bit greedy. I want to be a bit of many things. So, which also comes with the danger that you may not reach to a destination. And that was the struggle I was having with myself for those 2 years of insecurity when I quit a full-time career and I was pursuing art. And art can never give you a surety. It can never tell you that you are going to be a vice president of a so-and-so place. So that's kind of, it was time for me to ask these very hard questions to myself, that am I okay to pursue a direction without thinking of where the destination will be, not being obsessed with destination. And not that I don't get conflicting sometimes questions, but as time has passed, the questions have become less and less. The conviction is stronger and stronger. People always say that, but art does not give you livelihood. And I always say that, but I have also done one thing, that I have an education and I have an experience. So I will never die of hunger, that I know. I can always work, and I can always have that side of me. And these days, what's new in my life is that I have quit the corporate job a few months back. And in addition to art, I am working on the concept of a tech-based social venture. So part of me will always be in analytical space, in Excel sheets and data. And I love Excel sheets. Oh my God, my home's entire inventory runs on Excel sheet. So I'm just too, or sometimes my artist friends say, you are just too organized for being an artist, Kanchana. Everything is on Google Drive, everything is on Excel sheet, everything is just very structured. But I love this, what I call the schizophrenic side of me, or bipolarity in me. And I feel I'm a sum total of that. So in summary, my story is about certain accidental choices, which I didn't make really consciously, but they happened. Certain conscious choices, but mostly accidental choices. Art was also accidental choices. But go with the flow of life. And as I'm going, I think every day I'm trying to tell myself that don't think of the destination. Just go with the journey. And I have a strong urge now for, to kind of do something in the social space. Technology based, because that's my strength. And that's another dream. Being an artist has made me a dreamer. I feel like I dream, and I get consumed by the dream, and I want to fulfill the dream. So my current dream, in addition to my art dream, is actually working in that social space with the help of technology. So maybe in 6 months' time, I'll have something to share with you guys, what I'm doing or what I've done in that space. So yeah, that's my story. And also story of many people who have come on this journey, who have accepted my choices unconditionally and have told me, take the jump, I'm with you. So I'm also extremely fortunate, and I remind myself of that there have been people who have told me, Kanchana, yes, go take the plunge, and I'm there, I'm watching you. So I won't give all the credit to myself. There is a lot of people, starting from my mother, who have held my hand. So I think I'm right in time, but each choice that I have taken has made me. And few months back, I made a radical choice, not radical, but I made a choice to shave my head and stay like that. So it has been another thing where I wanted to free myself from the structure of beauty, from the structure of how one should be or should not be. And it's kind of another kind of, again, asking certain questions of identity, certain questions of how do I see myself, how do I want to be perceived by others. So this has been the latest of my choices, which is kind of generating interesting conversations with people who see me, and which is kind of making me reflect on some of those things, and kind of again shaping me in some way or other. So yeah, I think I will take a pause here. I've spoken enough, so I'll be very curious to hear others.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kanchana, for sharing your story. This time it was okay, right? No
It
minor
was,
markings?
yes, thank you so much, Archie. That makes me feel so young when you don't call me ma'am.
Okay. The thing about Kanchana ma'am's story that inspires me is that जरूरी नहीं है कि आप लाइफ में एक ही फील्ड या एक ही जगह स्टक रहो. आप एक साथ बहुत सारी चीजें कर सकते हो. You can also be a mountain climber and an artist and a data analyst and many things more. You can do anything. So that is one thing that inspires me about Kanchana ma'am. Now I would like to invite my friend Lubaina to share what inspires her.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Archie, for inviting me to share. I think it's similar for me. It's this idea that you can be multiple things all at once, and you don't have to just choose one path. And I feel like that's a struggle that I've faced a lot because I'm interested and I care about so many different things, and I'm constantly feeling um, this this internal pressure to just choose, like make a choice, right? But I mean, sometimes it's not about making a choice. Sometimes it's about just accepting that you can have multiple things going on for you, and that's just who you are. And I really like the fact that you said the only thing that defines you is your name. So I'm gonna take that with me today. Thank you, Kanchana.
Thank you, Lubaina. Thank you. It's lovely to hear that.
So I'm gonna open the floor to everyone to just kind of share what struck a chord with you, maybe with Kanchana's story, or maybe something you'd like to share about yourself. So yeah, go ahead, unmute yourself.
And feel free to ask me questions. I would love to kind of answer in a candid way. If in the overall story, if there's any point where you would like to probe me further and would like me to say something or kind of share a different perspective, I would love to.
I have a question. Um, what exactly was your career? Like, what were you working as, or what were you really doing? I'm so sorry, I don't know, or I missed it in the story.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I started with an HR professional. I started my journey with Crompton Greaves in Mumbai. Actually, I used to come to Mulshi very often. I was their training coordinator, and it's a beautiful place near Pune. And then I moved to NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation, in Delhi. That's where I met my future husband. And then I joined TCS, and then I joined Accenture in Bombay, and then in Singapore. So I've been basically an HR person, then a consultant, a project manager, and data analyst, operational efficiency, process management, ERP systems, all kinds of resource managers. So yeah, 11 years of full time and 5 years of part time. So overall, 16 years of working, kind of done many of these things. So that's my, what you call the left side of my career is, yeah.
That's enough.
I'd like to ask a question. Kanchana, how did you deal with the lows that hit you, like with making so many choices? As you mentioned, there were times when you faced insecurities, when you faced doubts. How did you deal with them? Like, what was your mantra for just going through that process to not be obsessed with the destination but enjoying the journey?
That's a lovely question, Mrinmay, and that's the hardest part, because what happens is that we are so sometimes we are so conditioned by how the success is defined, the structure of success that is defined around us, that we start looking ourselves from that framework. And when we try to break free from that framework, and Adi and I used to talk when I was in Mumbai I was in Accenture and he was in IBM then, isn't it, Adi? In Vikhroli complex, and we used to meet and talk about, breaking from that corporate structure. He was more courageous than me. He broke it much earlier than I did. I took few more years after that, and so there's it takes a time. It's about asking some difficult questions to yourself, and it's also being honest with yourself. See, your heart tells you where you would like to be, and listening to that voice and saying that, let me go on this path, everything will be fine. And even if things won't be fine as per expectation, at least I tried. I heard some of you said that, like in my breakout group, Jamila was saying that at least that choice was mine. That gives a strange power than looking back and saying, wish I did that. So I think this was my mantra. I told myself that, okay, I'm going to give myself 5 years. So I said that to myself, I'm going to give myself in 5 years. And after 5 years, I'll ask myself whether those questions have subsided. And I'm going to tell myself that, okay, I'm going to walk this path. And even if it doesn't turn out to be, I always have the option to go back, to corporate world. It's okay. Not that that option was ever closed, but at least I want to try this. And at least I want to learn from it. And maybe it would have told me that, Kanchana, no, you are not meant for this, go back. But unless I would have tried, I would have never known that, Kanchana, you're not meant for it. So I have this thing about trying that at least. And I think one thing I've learned from my hiking, I'm an avid hiker, is that you have to at least try to go to the peak to see the view, and then decide that, fine, I don't want to see this view again and I don't want to do it. But at least go and see the view. You can't decide unless you've seen the view. So a lot of dialogue with myself, and lot of kind of seeking clarity inside, rather than, and the one thing I learned, that don't ask someone else, am I doing right or wrong? Because everyone tells you from their perspective, and then you are an emotional mess at the end of it, because you've spoken to 10 people and all those 10 have told you you are right or wrong as per their perspective. And then you are in so much self-doubt at the end of it that you're like, oh my God, why did I do that? So that also I learned that, okay, when you are going with your intuition, just walk with it for some time, and don't seek too much opinions. But that's my, I'm not saying that that's the same solution works for everyone.
Thanks for sharing that, Kanchana.
I have a question. How did you decide to go to art school? Was there some incident that influenced this decision?
Okay. That's fine. A lot of things in my life is actually about serendipity. So what happened is that I had always thought that when I'll complete 10 years of corporate career, I will take a break. So that was one thing, it was always in my mind that I'm going to take a break and just to look beyond that world, because I've spent 10 years in that world and I wanted to take a break to look beyond that world. So I had applied for an LOA 6 months before I was completing 10 years. So I went and said, give me a leave of absence for some time. And I had a very, very amazingly generous boss who is actually one of my best friends even till today. And she said, okay, but what are you going to do, Kanchana? You're a workaholic. And I was. I used to work till midnight. And, I had teams reporting from many cities. And I said, I don't know yet, but I think I would like to do interior design. So I went to an art school. So the art school was offering interior design, fashion design, all that stuff, and things that were very alien to me because all I had done in my school, college days is library and home, library and home. So I entered into art school and I go to interior design department. And then I'm curious, there's a basement and there's a lot of chit chat coming. And I said, I want to go to that basement. And the basement is fine arts department where you have all these hippie looking, tattooed, kids making painting and kind of bantering. And I just said, I love the energy of this place. I want to join fine arts. So I go to the fine arts department and I tell them, I want to join fine arts. And they say, do you have a portfolio? I said, no, I don't. They said, you can't join fine arts straight away if you don't have a portfolio. We want to see that you have done charcoal drawing, you have done watercolor, you have done, still life. Ruby auntie is smiling. She knows the language. Have you painted apples under the light and all that stuff? And I said, no. So then I went to another art school which offered weekend courses, Saturday 1 to 4. And I joined that weekend 1 to 4 or every Saturday for 1 year. I built the portfolio and they gave me the admission. And I took 1 year leave because I wanted to test. But after 1 year, I went and told my office that, can you give me 1 more year? I want to complete this. So they gave me and I completed. But I went back to work because I was on sabbatical and I had promised to come back. But my heart was not there. I always tell people that don't take sabbatical. It changes you. The freedom is intoxicating. It screws your brain and you just can't go back to sitting in those meetings again. And I ended up, 2011, I ended up quitting full-time career. So that's how I landed in art school. No serious, nothing that some vision came and nothing. I just walked into a basement of art school, saw all the painters and just wanted to join them. Maybe there was a desire to feel young again and just be with 18-year-old kids who were painting.
And while you were in art school, you were working part-time or you had completely taken a sabbatical?
So for first round of art school, which was my diploma 2 years, I had taken full sabbatical because entire language was different. Actually, I had taken 1.5 years sabbatical and 6 months I was working part-time. So I was doing both. But when I did my master's after 4 years, when I did master's in fine arts, I was doing both. I was doing my master's from 2015 to 16. I was doing master's also and I was doing my part-time job also. So master's I have done both sides.
Yeah. I think it's also important to remind ourselves that education is a lifelong process. Somehow in India, especially in India, we have this thing, 22, 23 ab ho gaya. And it's so beautiful to see the way you've kind of evolved with that and continue to do so.
True. No, education is lifelong. And right now I'm working, I was a painter for many years. And right now for last 1 year, I'm working on the medium of video. Completely different medium for me. In fact, today I had a 2 hours long rehearsal of a shoot that's going to happen on Monday night with a cameraman. And so I'm learning the camera angle, the light, the direction. So I know Mrinmay mentioned about that she's a film student. And I'm trying to learn. So with each I'm learning. And this project that has consumed me again is about archetype presentation or portrayal of female body in 80s and 90s Indian cinema, which is so for example, for my next shoot, I'm looking at the song called, most of you were not even born then, Tip Tip Barsa Pani from Mohra, which is a very iconic song of Ravina Tandon is actually investigative journalist in that movie, but nobody remembers that character. All she's remembered is for that song. Such is the power of the image that cinema has created, and especially of female form, and a very regressive form. So I'm talking about that. So as Adi said, I think the thing that has kept me glued with arts is the beauty of art is that it's a lifelong learning. With every series, with every work, I'm learning. With every medium, I'm learning. So it does not let me be an arrogant person, because there's always something to realize that, holy, sorry, I'm not going to swear here. I don't know this. There's so much to learn. I don't understand editing. I don't understand, set design. I don't understand um, photography as a medium. I don't understand ceramic as much, as I understand painting. So there's just so much to learn, and that keeps you, and that keeps me. Sorry, that keeps me very energized.
I am totally amazed, Kanchana, because it's your story sort of sounds so much like mine at your age, and so on. I was a science student who totally changed and never went to art school, in fact. So I had to relearn the art language, and I'm quite amazed as to how you've done masters in both. That's fascinating. I'm feeling like I can go on.
Absolutely, Ruby Auntie. There's no end of art. I was already thinking that when my kids have gone to college, when I'm done with that responsibility right now, I have to be mindful of that. I want to go and do one more master's. I actually want to study filmmaking more. So I like to keep going back to school. My husband always jokes that you love being in the company of teachers, which is true. So I do want to go back, and I do want to study few more things. For example, I do want to study filmmaking. I do want to study cinematography. I do want to study script making. So they just, as Ghalib has said, हजारों ख्वाहिशें कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दिल निकले. That's the story of my life. I think my dreams just keep adding and adding.
Hey, hi.
Now, I
Fish.
would like Shreyesh to ask her small question that he asked.
Me, right? Oh, yeah. Hi. So I guess this is like a so the question is, so since you have been like in so you have like shifted fields and stuff, right? How has that affected your social life, and what has been your close friend circle like, and what have these people been like in supporting your journey, or something along those lines?
Okay. How has been my social life? I think I'm socially more confident now, as I shared with you guys that in my school, college, I was a bit socially awkward. So these decisions have increased my confidence in myself. And I think when you're confident, you attract a confident social circle. I have seen that change in my life. So how has my friends since shifted? I have made lots of friends in art world in last 10 years, ever since my journey. And I have friends who are poets, who are filmmakers, who are painters, who are sculptors, who are ceramics, who are installation artists, who are actors. And I love that diversity of my social circle. Earlier, my social circle was quite unidimensional. You meet over and everyone is talking about their corporate, everyone is talking about who is becoming the next vice president, who is traveling more, who is getting next portfolio, which is good, which is great. But I think I like my current social circle more, which is which is very diverse. And I love and I learn from. So some of the things, and I can speak in this forum, I guess, is like I have learned and kind of being. I come from a place where I didn't even know what LGBT community is about, but today, because in the art circle, I have made a lot of friends in that, and it has expanded my horizon about life, about people, about accepting, about breaking some of those mental barriers I grew up with. So socially, it has helped me to be a diverse person, to be more accepting of diversity, to be more accepting of different choices people have made. Because in a creative field, it's amazing how many different choices people have made. And against all odds, I'm still kind of, I consider myself quite privileged, but there's some people who have made choices in creative industry against a lot of odds, and they inspire me. So yeah, I have a pretty interesting social life, which comprises of people from various fields. Some of my friends thought that, what am I becoming this, perhaps I'm going to be this weird artist person. You know how the impression is that artist is like this jhola type people, who put and kind of, but no, they all have accepted me very beautifully.
Yeah, that answers my question like in a really graceful manner. Thank you.
I guess it has made me a different person, having interacted with such diverse range of people, and it had helped me to break a lot of mental barriers that I grew up with. I must say that.
Okay, thanks ma'am, thanks for sharing. Now I would like, जिनको भी कुछ इंस्पायरिंग फील हुआ हो या फिर कुछ अच्छा लगा हो, कोई की पॉइंट या फिर आपको कुछ थैंक मैसेज करना है कंचना मैम को, सो यू कैन जस्ट राइट ऑन द चैट बॉक्स. वी आर गोइंग टू गिफ्ट समथिंग रियली कूल टू मैम. So yeah, you can mention it there on the chat box. And now I would like to hand over to Lubaina to introduce our next green room story sharer.
Thank you, Archie. I'm actually going to take a minute or so for this. Let's get some sharing on the chat box. And I'm going to put on our theme song for the day again and give you some time and space to type.
I guess I'm paying for the things that I have done. If I could go back, oh Lord knows I'd run, but I'm still losing this game of life I play, living and dying with the choices I've made. I've had choices since the day that I was born. There were voices that told me right from wrong. If I had listened, I wouldn't be here today, living, dying with the choices I've made. Living and dying with the choices I made.